how to look after. So I have a wonderful assistant. She's not from Sevenson Latex, but she's a customer and has just bought this lovely dress. I think you'll all agree. Yeah, excellent, nodding all the way around, good. And basically, I'm here to give you the 101 of how to look after stuff. First of all, number one, remember to wash it. It's just like any other piece of clothing. You need to give it a rinse after you've worn it. But that's probably something I'll get to later. I should also let you know, I'm not a public speaker, so if I tend to waffle a bit, or you've got an interesting question you'd like to ask, and I'm off on some of the diversion, don't be afraid to put your hand up and interject. So, when your latex comes, you get a choice. We provide 3 services. You can either have it talked in raw, so you can do whatever you like to it. A lot of people who've got latex have got their own way. Everybody likes to deal with it differently. Everybody likes different feeling. It's going to hug every single bit of your skin. You're going to know it's there, and if you enjoy that feeling, that's what we're all here for. So when it comes, it will receive talked, shined, or chlorinated. Chlorinated has got an extra cost to it because it is a complicated and slightly dangerous procedure to actually perform, but it does leave the latex with a different finish. If you have it talked, it'll be dry, kind of stiff, and you'll want to wash off that talc first. So basically, get yourself, I've got buckets. I do this in buckets because of some of the chemicals that I use, not because they're dangerous or irritants in any way, it's just because if you, for example, shine in the bathtub and you're using a silicone shine, it could be kind of dangerous if you don't get all that shine off because you're going to slip. So when it comes in the post, you'll receive a box. Take the fresh water and just dip it in, rinse it about, bring it out, and that should wash off most of the talc. When you come to wear it, you're probably going to want to do something a bit more thorough. What we do is take some fresh, clean, use lukewarm water, just because it's kinder on your hands. It seems to come up with a slightly better finish because the shine takes slightly better. But what you do is make sure you've washed off all your talc. Then there are a myriad of products. This one is a special wash. This one's from B-Gloss. This one is actually a polish. There's another company that makes accoutrement, should we say, for latex that's like shine and wash. I personally go on the hunt and find a non-perfumed hand soap. It doesn't have to be an expensive wash that's specifically for the product. As long as it's got a very subtle perfume or none at all, that's absolutely ideal. Tiny little bit in, swirl it around so you can see a few little bubbles. You don't want it foamy like you get from your washing up thing because you're just going to have too much soap on it. So put it in, give it a rinse around. That'll get any oils off, any contacts from your skin, any salt. I see a hand go up over there. I'll just finish this one and I'll come to you, okay? Take it out, throw away that water, get some clean water and give it a quick rinse again. That's just to take all the soap off. Because soap's a surfactant, so if you put soap on there and you put an oil layer over the top, the soap will bind to that, and as soon as it gets water, it will take it away. So you want to make sure it's completely free of anything. You've got no talc on there and no oils on there. Then, the way we do it is we take this. This is a bit of a shine. One of these will last us almost 6 months, and we shine a lot of latex. So if you buy one piece of latex, don't think you've got to go out and buy a pint and a half of this just to get yourself through. One of these is approximately around 17 to 20 pounds. So it's not a massive investment. So you take this, put about a teaspoon's worth of clean fresh water. And you take your clothing, scrunch it up, and you dip it in. Let me see whether I've got a bit here I can demonstrate with. I do not. That's fine. But when you take it out, hang it up on a hanger and let it dry. You're going to want to give it, preferably overnight, but 4 to 5 hours should be fine. As long as all the water droplets are gone, you are ready to wear. One of the benefits of this is obviously because not only does it leave a slight oily residue on it, but it lubricates the inside, so it actually makes it slightly easier to wiggle your way into. I can give you a demonstration if you'd like to come over. Here, this one's been Vivishined. It was Vivishined 2 days ago, I believe. And you still have the slight oily texture to it. It's obviously dependent on if you like that feeling or if you prefer it dry, if you know what I mean. You asked a question, was it something?
I was just curious of why it has to be unperfumed, the soap.
Basically, latex is a natural material, and like any natural material, it's got foibles. For example, leather, if you wet it and you dry it, it will go stiff. Like with perfume, you don't know what the ingredients in the perfume are. So it may be that if you've got a light coloured latex, you could get discoloration. You could actually end up stripping a lot of the natural oil out of the latex with a harsh perfume. So if you can get an unperfumed soap, that's perfect. If you prefer, there are some slight benefits to this. For example, it's easy to use, you get detailed instructions, and they are quasi-guaranteed by the company to be perfect in fine latex.
Following on from that, what about wearing sort of perfume with it and spraying it? Should you avoid?
I personally would avoid spraying perfume directly onto the latex. A great thing, I cheat, always in my hair. Perfume goes in what I've got remaining of my hair if I'm not wearing a wig. But obviously the heat of your head helps the perfume air around. You don't actually have to put it on your body. So you can still wear a scent. It's not a problem as long as you're not spraying yourself with it, because you may find, for example, if you've also got an oily finish to it, you spray it on there, it might break the surface tension of the oil and the spots come up. It might not permanently damage in any way the latex, but it's not going to look at its best. So that will be my answer on that one. So, where were we? I'll do my best with that. There is a myriad of products on here, and I can go through them. This one is a soap. That's just for washing. This one is a shine, I believe. So is, no, that one's a cleaning. These two are shine, that one's a soap, that one's a shine. This one is a different shine, and I'd recommend something like this product for popping in your handbag, take it with you in a hold all or something like that. If you need a top up, you just, do you mind if I demonstrate? If you give this a spin around, just give it a quick spray, and then you take your cleaning cloth and you just rub off the excess and spread that around. I'm sorry, I'm going to jiggle you a little bit, darling. And then you will find that you get a nice shiny thing. It doesn't have quite the same oily residue as you would get with a Vivishine or something like that. But obviously, it's not going to give you the same wiggling if you're getting dressed into it. There are a few big do's and don'ts with latex. And a big one that you will hear very often is sunlight. Everybody is terrified about sunlight. I am going to say that's not as big a problem as everybody makes out. If you're storing it for a long time, my suggestion would be a bag, pop your item onto a hanger if it hangs, take a white bin liner bag or something like that, pop it over the top of the item, poke the hanger through, and you can hang it in your cupboard. You're going to store it for a bit longer, you might want something that's like, would block out the light there. So a black bin liner, pop one of those over the top. But I wouldn't put a black bin liner straight over the top of a latex dress if it wasn't black. If it's a pink, you may get a transfer from the bin liner into, let's be honest, it's probably not made with the highest quality of plastics or most cover fast dyes, so there is the chance that it could seep from that into the latex. You really don't want that, because one of the things is, with latex, stains can be a nightmare. It can, I'll bring up my demonstration of my wonderful shiny top, that unfortunately for the aesthetic, as it was chosen, had brass poppers in. This is a no-no. If it wasn't specifically asked for, I would never have done it in the first place. But, and I'll bring this up to the camera here so you can see it, where the buttons have touched the white latex, you'll get a discoloration there. That will be permanent, unfortunately. Sometimes you can get a yellow mark like this at 2 or 3 months. It just slowly fades out. You'll never be able to find where the spot was again. Sometimes it's never going anywhere. This one, I'm afraid, has got to that point where it's never going to go anywhere. There's a few things you can do. Obviously, shining it and keeping it shine keeps an oil barrier between things like that. Realistically, never buy anything that's got a brass popper in it or something like that, because it's just not gonna. It's not going to be a long-term thing that's just looks after itself, as it were. Another good thing to look for in everything when you're looking for quality latex, make sure it's all trimmed. Around the edges, where there's a double up, where there's a split between two pieces, if you've got a piece going across there, or you've seen somebody's gone to the effort of placing patches in arms and things like that, it's a good sign, because it shows that the person that's designed it, has worn it, knows the kind of problems that you can encounter, and has taken steps to do that. So, you know, generally, that's what you're looking for. Does anybody have any specific questions to ask me?
Are there any specific metals? You mentioned brass there, but I've heard people talk about nickel and aluminium before.
Nickel is not so bad, but it will still mark latex. Aluminium is terrible. The best thing that you'll find is stainless steel. And it can be difficult because a lot of places now you'll go to buy fixings, findings, they don't know what they're made out of. And it's an unfortunate thing that we've had to go through. We've swapped all of our main design things over to plastic, so we use a plastic popper on that. We find it doesn't give the same hold, it's not quite strong, and they're not quite as durable. But I know for a fact none of them will damage any of the clothing that we make. Another thing to counteract that is obviously we've offered a lifetime warranty on poppers. If you get a popper break, just let us know. We'll sort it out from there. So because we know that we've had to counteract those, that's what we do. If we need metal poppers, if there's something that's got real big tension across it, then we'll use a stainless steel that we've had to have specially made for us in specific amount, just so that we can guarantee that what we've got is 300 stainless steel. So yeah, that was, did that cover everything?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Maybe stupid question, but I've never worn latex before, so how do you get into it?
okay, that is not a stupid question at all, because if you can't get into it, it's not much use to you, is it? Right, I had, slipping this on, a couple of problems just getting my arms in. This, personally, I'll put the zip at the back, just makes everything easier. I have to take this on and put it off. But this product is called Pure Cool. There are other people that make very much the same thing, because this is basically a silicone lubricant. ID Millennium is a really good brand of it. That's kind of the one I keep for personal, because it is expensive. But something like that is fairly cheap, comes in a spray, you give it a and you'll find that because it's now silicone lubed, it'll slide on really, really easily. So there's that. Right, I might ask, would anybody like to come and have a go at giving the shine?
Can I just throw in a tip on the reverse end of that? Getting the latex off at the end of the night, often easiest to do in the shower.
Yes, most definitely. This is something that I literally 2 seconds ago had a conversation about. And there's no sexy way to get out of latex. Yeah, which can be a bit of a passion killer, right, at some point. Number one, maybe consider some way where you don't have to. But number two, if you do want to get out of latex and you want it as easy as possible, take you and your partner in the shower. If that shower, as soon as you get that water layer between you and the latex, it just rolls down, and you're not going to have any problems if you roll it all up, get a big rubber ring, and then you just stretch it out afterwards. One thing I would say though is when you're getting out of latex, if you do get the opportunity, I know everybody's kind of busy usually, but if you do get the opportunity, as soon as possible, give it a quick rinse off, just so that it takes a lot of the sweat and a lot of the, because unless you've got some kind of magical ability, you will sweat whilst wearing latex. It's dependent on your own physiology as to how that will affect you. I am always cold. So if I go to a club, everybody's dancing, puffing, and I'm freezing. So I'm like, get me on the dance floor and just give me some of your body warmth. A lot of people on the other side, they get quite hot. So the smoking area is a great place for them. You could just go outside. 1 or 2 nights at the Coronet have been spent standing outside just soaking in the passive nicotine. But yeah, so I started on getting out of it, now I'm off to starting with the Coronet. Anyway, so yeah, I was wondering, is there anybody who'd like to come and give this a go? Because I've done it millions of times, I know what it's like. And we can have a play with one of these bits because it's actually no good anyway. I see this.
And I can turn the camera off if anyone's shy.
I'll give it a go.
You give it a go? Okie dokie, no problem. Let's.
Are you on camera or off?
There's no specific
I can cover the camera, it's not a problem.
trepidation there, was there?
Maybe off.
Oh, that's fine.
Who knows?
Right, okay. Hi, I've already said I'm Elliot. You are
Jenny.
Jenny, this is Jenny, everybody.
Hello, Jenny.
We'll start with a bit of this one. Just double checking which book I've got. Right, so if you just pop the, do you know what? We'll do it from as if we've already shaped it, because I don't have 3 buckets. So, right, if you take this one, we're going to give that a quick rinse off, and then I'll pop the other bucket up, and we can go through the bit of shining. Just give it a quick rinse. Yeah, in that one now, yeah. So as you can see, it's not going to soak up any of the water. It doesn't like suck it up, and it just feels like wet rubber now, right? Wet
So is that what you're doing to clean it?
Yeah. For example,
Is that all you need to do to clean it?
yeah. For example, when it comes and it's towed, just use mild, just plain water, slightly lukewarm, and just rinse all that talcum powder off. Once we've done that, I mean, we're sort of mugging, and we've done very well, obviously. But we'll swap that out of there. Just hold that. If you just hold that bucket,
Got it.
one thing out. I'll move the bucket. Okay. So if we take the Vivichine and we burn screw, and I'm literally going to put in the tiniest little amount. That's about a teaspoon's worth. Then take my fingers and go. Right, now, if you dip that into there, and give it a rub around, you'll feel the oil starting, as it comes out of the water and goes back into the water, you feel the oil starting to stick to the thing. It becomes more supple. You genuinely feel when everything's right. So swirl it around your hands, make sure you've got every bit. And then when you bring that out, I'll grab this. Should be fastidious. You've got to make sure that everything. We're all good. Thank you. Right, we'll pop that on a hanger. Now it's actually very sort of loose and limp now. It's very supple because it's kind of absorbs that oil onto its surface, and it must take some of it into the actual fabric. But hang this up, right? You can put it in a bathroom or something like that. Yes, it's better if it's out of direct sunlight, but if it can't be helped, it can't be helped. So we hang that up, and then when it's dry, it will be perfectly shiny, as the dress that we've got over there. you might find you've got white spots all over it. The first time I used Vivishine, I freaked out because I'd got 5 items, I put them all up, and they were covered in all these white, smeary, messy, shine-like things. I turned them inside out, everything went away within an hour. It's just where the oxygen hasn't got through to the Vivishine and the latex, like you'll get like a patch where it's, once you've flipped it outside and it's all dried out, it's perfect. But on a darker item, you might find brown smearing messes all over it. Well, white smearing messes all over it. But that will go away, don't panic. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you very much for your help. You have experience now. Yeah, I don't want to flounder, but is there anything else I can help anybody with? I'll check my list of the things that I've got written down. But yeah, okay. If you'd like to.
Okay. I just wanted to know if like there's any problem with like body hair that it may pull a bit if you're putting the latex in.
Obviously, with anything that's skin tight, there's going to be a certain amount of friction. This is rubber, so it's skin tight rubber, so there will be more friction. If you've used something like this, or even if you are old school, I say old school, but like I say old school talcing it on, because obviously that was it. Before there was all these products, there was talcing it on. You won't find that it pulls. If you are significantly lubricated enough, it's not going to pull your hair out. It'll be fine. The most important thing about dressing in latex is make sure you've got plenty of time, and that's it. Just don't force it. You'll go in there. You sort of a gentle wiggle, and you'll get up there. Sometimes, for example, I've got a lovely pair of flares. I'll put them on in the morning when we're doing an event or show or something like that. About an hour later, they'll just slide, and I know that that's it. They've gone into the perfect position now because they are very tightly sculpted to my body. But when they just go blonk, it's like, okay, these fit perfectly now. So yeah, you shouldn't have any problems pulling hair as long as you go slowly enough and you use plenty of lubricant. Yeah, well, that's generally a good tip for life, isn't it?
Go slow and plenty of lube.
Yeah, exactly. I can give people a small squirt of this if they like to see what it feels like. It is incredibly slippy.
Squirt me.
Squirt, yeah, I'll squirt. I'll just give you a little squirt on your fingers. And come over there. Hey, oh, wait. Hey. I'm going to dive into everyone now. Everyone's squirting in the hands.
Yeah, I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just doing a WD-40.
Yeah, you might want to. That's perfectly fine. I'll try that along if you'd like to try it.
I like it. I just put it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I know, it's lovely, isn't it? One thing I would say is obviously because when you're wearing latex, you are sweating, you are soaking your skin, and you take it off, you feel like a baby. Like everything's really soft. Maybe an hour, half an hour afterwards, just everything feels like really like it's brand new. But that might be because you're
It's so shiny.
oily and shiny. Yeah, take that one back. There was a couple of things that I popped at the bottom here. Yes. I talked about what to look for in quality garments, but obviously with quality garments comes a bunch of options. It can be a bit overwhelming sometimes because somebody thrusts. You can have these pants in 37 different colours, and you can choose 2. So there's like a wide variety of it. For example, like we don't carry all the stock in all the different colours. It would be massively prohibitive for us to do that, but obviously we can make it for you. That comes with its own things. So generally, we make to a size unless somebody specifically orders custom made. In some ways, that works well because there's a general, a 12 is a 12 is a 12 is a 12. I know that's not true. So obviously, all of our exact measurements are on our website, so you can reference and see which size is going to be the right size for you. But obviously, we're not going to carry every single size in every different colour combination to a show. So when you're measuring up for latex or something like that, if you aren't at a show or you're buying from somebody who's online, I'd say the number one most important thing you can do is supply real measurements. Don't think, oh, I'd like it to be nice and tight around here, so I'm going to go 2 centimetres in, and then I need a bit more space here, so we'll give them the real measurement on that. Give us the real measurements. We're perverts too. We're thinking we are going to take something out. It's got to be nice and tight there. It's got to look good on your body. We're already doing that maths. If you do that maths as well, it's twice as bad. So it just amplifies it. If you're buying latex, you don't need to go down a size, or you shouldn't. It should be sized to that right size, but we know how much percentage to take out for stretch, so that's already should be taken into account for. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Right.
What about nails and jewellery? If you're quite a jewellery wearer,
Yeah.
should I keep on?
Yeah, well, you see, I'm one for nails and not quite as extreme as yours. I would ask for help. Obviously, latex, I've taken a pair of stockings today to repair. The latex can get perforated. It's as with any material. However, latex doesn't have a warp or a weft. So if there is a perforation or a rip, there's nothing to stop that rip carrying on down. So if you do get something and you want to repair it, or you want to have it repaired, realistically, as soon as you notice that it's damaged, that's the time to go, okay, we'll put that aside, we'll come back to that when it's fixed or whatever. So as soon as possible is your best plan. A lot of places might not take repairs on other people's items. I do, but obviously there is certain caveats that I have to put in place for that. Say, for example, if I'm repairing something of somebody else's stock, I have to make sure I can get a good stick. I have to be able to test to ensure that it's not been chlorinated in any way. I mean, realistically, 90% of it is I can feel whether it's been chlorinated. But if somebody phones me up and says, "Can you repair this?" I'm kind of going to need to see the item to make sure that I can repair it. But generally, latex repairs are not that expensive. I charge £15 an hour to do it. A lot of repairs probably get done in that hour, because a small piece of damage could end up being a big piece of damage. It's a lot easier to get it in nice and early, get it fixed in under an hour, and you've got your item back with you. In a speedy turnaround, I'd like to think. Yeah, I'm just looking at all your faces. It's been a bit diffused. I've tried to cover as much as I can, but a bit sporadic picking topics. I kind of got something planned, and then we realised, wow, this afternoon is going to be really busy. Everybody's coming in the afternoon. Perhaps only we can spare one of us for this chat. So yeah, was there anything else? I know I'm coming back to you guys for, well, yeah, you're well supplied. Hi, can I have you?
So how do you, so I know that for dresses we have to hang it on top. So I just bought a skirt. So do I put it like halfway through, or how do I hang it to make sure it's okay?
In all honesty, it's entirely up to you. With an item like a skirt, if you were storing it, you could fold it, make sure it's in something like a plastic wrap is best, and then pop it in a drawer or something like that. If you're looking to hang it just for drying purposes, for example, I know you don't have that big a waist, just a normal hanger, put one side over and the other side over so that it hangs off. As long as the oxygen can get to all of it, that's going to be all right. You'll just maybe need to nudge it around and give it an hour or two, just if there's one or two bits that would touch in. But other than that, yeah, that covers it all, apart from your hanger.
So it's okay to store folded, isn't it?
It is okay to store folded. However, if you're going to store it and you're thinking it might be there for 2 years, I would hang it, because you will find that you won't get creases that stay permanently. If you fold it and you put it in a drawer and leave it for 2 years, you take it out, those creases might not drop out, and it's not an item that you can just slap on the ironing board and give it an old iron, you'll be fine. Unfortunately, most creases and things like that, for example, we pack everything we've got up into boxes, but then when we take it out, I mean, generally we do a show pretty much every weekend. When we take it out, you hang it up, and within an hour, any creases that were in the boxes have just sort of dropped out with the natural weight of the item. So, if you get the opportunity to hang it, that's preferable. If you don't, then it's not the end of the world.
And how long does it last?
Do you know what? I don't have a lifetime on it. Obviously, it can be slightly more vulnerable to being damaged, but if looked after, I don't actually know as there is a limit on it. There is. I know I've certainly seen pieces of latex worn out that are over 25 years old. So
Does it go? Sorry, Farm.
no.
Does it go crinkly if it gets? Or I've seen. So I think my wife's got a bit of latex, which has kind of gone a bit crinkly. What's caused that? Or I thought it might be age because it's probably 10 years old.
Yeah, I've seen one or two
Your
bits
mate,
and bobs.
so wrinkly.
Yeah, customers bought one or two bits and bobs to me that they bought from another manufacturer 15 years ago before their kids left home, right? And they packed it in a suitcase, and it just kind of been scrunched up. And you could see bits where one bit was slightly thicker and the other bit was slightly thinner. And I think it's just been and wrapped up. And that's kind of where a permanent kink or wrinkle in it comes in. For example, something like this, a Vivishine or whatever, if you've got okay, I'll explain. You might get a white, like there's usually a white sheen that you'll get, and that comes from either UV exposure, like prolonged UV exposure, or it can be something like if it's being kept where it's cold, so water can condense on it. If you use something like a Vivishine, that puts a layer of oil on it. Not only does it sort of seep and impregnate the latex, so it doesn't tend to dry out, it doesn't tend to perish as much, but it also puts an oil layer over it. So any condensation on it is outside of that oil barrier, if you know what I mean. So it does, I wouldn't say it toughens it up, but it is far more durable and more...
it nourishes in conditions as opposed
that
to...
would be an ideal way. And I'm sure one of these companies has got something for bringing that back. The only thing is, I've mentioned loads and loads of times today, sun exposure. I've said it's not as bad as everybody thinks, and I say, oh no, it's terrible. It isn't. If you leave your pants out for a day, they're not going to be trash. If you leave them on the side for a week, you might start to see something, and that would be a time to go, right, okay, these need to go away, I've made my mistake. What you can get is this. It's sunblock. So if you're going out, you can spray that onto a catsuit, spray the whole thing over, and you're not going to do damage to your catsuit in a day wearing it out. So,
Sunblock for your catsuits.
sunblock for your catsuit. I know it smells good.
It's the natural oils on the fingertips damaging. When I've got it on, I can't help but struggle myself. But I wonder if I'm doing damage.
There is a funny feeling, and people will touch you because you're always shiny. But I'm going to say no.
Not as bad as eating a packet of peanuts and then touching all over. Because you've got that oil grease from the peanuts.
Yeah. Your skin is a 4.5. That's the pH of it. Like realistically, that's what's going to do the damage. If you put a great big handprint on it whilst it's dry and leave it, you might see that great big handprint on it in a week's time. But realistically, when you put this amount of oil onto it, that won't be a visible thing. It's not gonna show up. I mean, yes, if you handle stuff, especially a white or a very light coloured item, you do risk transferring, obviously. Like a silver thumb ring, probably shouldn't wear that. but it's not really going to do any particular damage. So there is a misconception that latex is incredibly delicate. I don't think it's as delicate as everybody makes out, but it does make everyone sound good when they know about it. So yeah, so no, I don't think handling from your hands is particularly going to do any damage, especially if, for example, you keep up washing once you've worn it. Just regular washing, as with anything, will sort of generally keep it up to standard. The other thing is because you're not machine washing it and mechanically heating it and doing all that, it doesn't take the kind of damage that washing a t-shirt 10 times will do. So yeah, I think there might have been one thing, I don't know whether I've already answered it.
It ships tout, you can ship it tout.
Yeah.
Is it a bad idea to tout it down if it's going into long-term storage, or is it a better idea to leave it shine?
That bit personal thing, I would leave it shined, generally, because I know I'm a scatterbrain and I'm not going to leave myself a day before I come to go, oh, I'm going to that tonight, so this, oh shit, it's out. I'm not wearing that then. So I would generally, personally, I leave it vivishined. If talking something and leaving it is not a bad way of doing things, obviously it just stops it sticking from itself, and that will cause damage over a long time. It's one of those things. If the item's coming out and getting used and then getting put back, it will probably last longer than if it's just put away and not picked up for 3 years, and then it comes out and you go, okay. I can see a little line in the back of that. As I say, probably for an hour and a half's worth of wear on it, that will all drop out. But yeah. So
again, storage is, do you need to be careful of like hangers that have got sharp seams? If you've got a cheap plastic hanger or stuff like that, could that cut into it, or leave marks?
A plastic hanger, I personally am paying for this very specific problem at the moment. A plastic hanger, it's not going to really do any damage. You have to really, I mean, if you've got sort of 0.25 latex, or you've got something that's particularly strangely shaped, or you're forcing onto the hanger, obviously that's probably not a good idea. But if you're just putting it onto a normal hanger, and I can't see any damage. As I said, I personally am paying for this problem. I have a fantastic baby pink jacket with matching skirt that I put in the cupboard, and the clips were metal. Yeah, it happens to us all. I personally, I'm probably the worst for it because I'm a maker. And a lot of the things, number one, you're expected, one, I don't want to see you wearing the same thing twice. So I've kind of got that, but I really like this item and I did want to keep it, but I have this problem of like, oh, just make another one then. And that is not the right way for me to be. I should be more careful with my own personal latex. But, you know, it's very often the way I give the best advice. I very seldom follow it.
Cool. Right. I was just going to say thank you for your time today and sharing with us.
Excellent. I very much appreciate all of you and all your patience for listening to me waffle on such a diffuse subject for quite such a long time. But yeah, I try my best.
Cool.
Thank you very much.